So, I don't really consider myself an avid manga reader by any means. I've always very much been an anime only person, and even though I've collected manga in the past, nowadays I really only collect special edition manga of anime series I love. But there are just many series that I've seen garnering so much hype on YouTube and Twitter that I just can't ignore. Series with soaring manga sales that are not even anime yet or that are about to be released as anime. And one of those that caught my attention is Kaiju No. 8. Maybe it's because I saw people talking about how this story reminds them of Attack on Titan and One Punch Man, which is a strange comparison combination, or maybe it was just the front cover of Volume 1 and all the good things that people were saying about it that enticed me enough to check it out. And I love it. I'm your narrator MK, and this is why I can't stop reading Kaiju No. 8. Monsters reminiscent of Godzilla have been appearing in Japan for years, so much so that an elite military unit called the Defense Force was formed to combat and eliminate this threat of monsters. As a kid, Kafka Hibino dreamed of joining the Defense Force with his childhood friend Mina, but as life would have it, instead he's a 32-year-old worker part of the cleanup crew who takes care of the waste left over from these dead monsters. After being inspired by a new young coworker, he decides to take the test again to become a Defense Force member. And as luck would have it, a small talking parasite of a monster flies into his mouth, turning him into one of these humanoid monsters with superhuman strength. Now, if you were surprised by that last bit, so was I. And that's the thing about this story. It has several of these quick plot twists that not only keep you intrigued, but also further the story. So it does a good job of using cliffhangers to its advantage, as any good story should. And the protagonist Kafka is so endearing as a character because of his lighthearted personality, his goofballness, and the way he treats his friends. And one of the best and refreshing things about him as a protagonist is that he's not a teenager learning everything for the first time. He's 32 years old and comes with a massive amount of knowledge from his work as part of the Monster Guts cleanup crew. And yet he still has that underdog quality that shonen protagonists have because he's so physically weak compared to his comrades when he's in his human form. His comrades in the Defense Force are leagues ahead of him in terms of skill and aptitude, and they are constantly serving as a means of inspiration and motivation for Kafka to improve in every way that he can. The cast of characters are definitely the strong point of this story. There are many different and interesting personalities and definitely some cool abilities that attribute to the dope action scenes. But really, it's the relationships and dynamic between these characters that make the story so great to read and why I couldn't put it down. I already have several favorites. In a short amount of time, you find yourself really liking these characters and seeing how their relationships continue to blossom. Also, there's a little romance subplot hinting here. Maybe not really, but I'm going to really believe that there is because I'm a sucker for a romance subplot. I think when romance is not a focal point of a story, but instead a supporting aspect of the storyline, it can do wonders for the story as a whole. And the story I'm currently writing has romance in the back as a subplot, and it's one of my favorite things. And I love that Kaiju No. 8 is kind of hinting at that. For those of you that are reading this manga, let me know if it's just me that's seeing that. Anyway, moving on. So far, there's really only one gripe I have with this story. That is, there is not a lot of depth in terms of what the story is trying to say. At least at this point, which is 58 chapters deep. So far, it's rather simplistic. Main character trying to accomplish his dream and learns about himself, makes friends, lots of badass moments in action, and so it's not as multi-dimensional as something like, say, Attack on Titan. And that's okay. It doesn't have to be deep all the time, that's just a preference of mine, and it's not to say that that won't change as the story continues. Like I said, there are quick plot twists and turns that definitely keep the story interesting, and they're setting something up with the intelligence of these monsters that is definitely appealing. And I have a feeling that soon there's going to be a turning point in the story that is going to take the audience for one hell of a loop, and I can't wait to see if that happens. Anyway, I would really love to know what you guys think of this series, if you read it or you're reading it, and who is your favorite character. Let's discuss. Also, what do you think about me covering this manga series as it progresses? I have an idea for an analysis video about Kafka as a character that I'm interested in making, so if you want to see that, drop a like, please. By the way, y'all, we recently hit over 300 subscribers on the channel, which is wild. If you're still here and you're part of that 300, do me a favor and drop a 300 in the comments. To think that 300 people want to hear me weeb out about stories I love is beautiful to me. I'm working on several videos at the moment. I hope you stay tuned and enjoy. I'm your narrator, MK, and thank you for over 300.